Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're live on the air for the entire world to watch, really. Only about 30 of you will watch, but YouTube is an amazing thing, right? I mean, I'm sitting here in my tiny apartment in rural Japan, and people will. I mean, I'll have people from Europe and people from America, and some maybe even from Japan. Hello, everybody, and welcome. There's my page. We're live. All right. So now I'm seeing comments. That was my reverb from my comments page. Let me just get this set up here. Bear with me for a moment. Okay. I always do this backwards. So I got to put the comments on the left, move the video to the right. It's like I got two windows open, and someday I'll figure out how to do all this. Okay, I should be in HD. I'm a little fuzzy. The lighting in here, you know, it's obviously 10 p.m. at night. I'm relying on kind of a light that's shining on my face. You can even see it casting a shadow and then a light above my head. But anyway. Hey, we got people in the house already. Thank you so much for coming. We got Robert from Canada. Good evening. Senakuns, hello. I don't know where you're from. Let me know. Temiko, hello. Sean, yes, I made it. Mr. Mental, who is, or me are Mental, but I like to call you Mr. Mental. That's your nickname. He's a avid watcher of sumo and often leaves very insightful comments on my sumo videos. So hello. Kron, I always want to say Khan, like, you know, Star Trek, but it's Kron. Phil Music, hello. Matt Sekijima, hello. From Awaji. Oh, see, I said that we would probably have some people from Japan. Oh, and Sean is also here in Japan. He's in Nagano. Huggers is from down under. Hello, Huggers. G'day. Crag Thang. Hello, everyone. So you guys will have to let me know in the comments, you know, as we go along here tonight, how much you want me to talk about sumo, because I will admit that I just spent the last hour putting all the video. I taped like 9 videos, and I put all the videos. I'm wearing my sumo shirt here. All the videos up onto YouTube, and then I have to go onto YouTube. You know, they need about a half an hour to percolate, and the thumbnail ends up being where it's going to be, and you know, they kind of are uploaded and ready to go. And then I have to go on and add some tags and titles, and you know, type some stuff, and then hit publish. And that takes about a half an hour or so to do. So that's unfortunately not going to happen until after this program, from probably 11 p.m. to midnight while I listen to Hiko. I will put up the sumo vids. So unless you've gone to another channel or you live here in Japan, you might not know about sumo. So if you don't want me to spoil it, I'm happy not to talk about what happened today, especially obviously in the final match of the day, which determined who won the championship. We can talk about other things if you want, Yoshikaze and you know, Komusubi, like Tochinoshin, and what's going to maybe happen in November at stuff. But maybe we should refrain. You know, let us know in the comments if you don't care or if you already know the outcome. But yeah, maybe we should refrain from talking about what happened in the final match, because you know, I know people that follow my channel haven't seen that yet. This week's is brought to you by Bitta. And where's Frederick when I need him in the comments? Angelines, you're from England, right? You're from Great Britain. I need somebody that maybe speaks German. I think that's a German word. And there is a lot of gairaigo. Gairaigo is words in Japanese that are borrowed from English, like pasokon. Pasokon is a weird portmanteau for personal computer that they use here, and there's many others. You know, like a gas station here is called a gasoline stand, and they actually say it that way and use katakana. So Bitta is perhaps German, but it's basically a knockoff Tim Tam. If you're familiar with Tim Tams, from Australia, I believe they're from, or maybe New Zealand. But it's a chocolate cookie, and they come in some various sort of like chocolatey taste, like milk chocolate, dark chocolate. They're pretty tasty. And so I've got some of those. Oh, Bitta means please. Thank you, Crag Thong. So there you go. Well, that's an appropriate name for a cookie, I think. Please give me a please. You could obviously, use the Beatles song and do a whole campaign. But anyway, so I will talk a little bit about sumo in a minute. There's Kiseno Sato. He unfortunately did not raise the cup this tournament. Poor Japanese fans. I tell you, they just are so desperate to see someone Japanese, win. I can't imagine, there's no analogous thing. Well, maybe England, like the World Cup. Like, you think of England as sort of the inventors of soccer. I don't know if that's really true, but you think of it that way, especially if you're an American. Sorry, I got something on my face. And they haven't won the World Cup since, what, 1966? So, I mean, that's a lot of years to go without winning a World Cup. They haven't even been a factor. I don't think they've even been in a final since 1966. And, so a country that's, associated with a sport, but they haven't won that sport, is what I'm going at. And Japan is obviously, they call it the national sport, but Lord, I mean, it's been dominated by foreigners. I mean, for so long now. And obviously, whether it's Terano Fuji or Kakeru today, both of them are Mongolian. So again, we will have a foreigner winning the cup. Hello from Ohio to Theodore. Andrea's in the house from Melbourne in Australia. Duncan's here. James is here. Oh, cool. James is here. James and I had a fun conversation earlier in the week. James is the creator, I believe. I don't want to say that, though. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he's just come along and taken it over. But I believe he's the creator and the proprietor. Yeah, that's a fancy word for your resume. Of the website altinsider.com, altinsider.com, and he's done a number of podcasts about teaching and living in Japan. And I think I'm like the episode we just did was like number 27. So plenty over there to listen to and look into. And I'll put the link in the show notes, like down in the description when we finish this. I also just posted it on my Facebook page. It's a fun conversation, especially if you're interested in teaching in Japan. He had some really good questions to ask me, and I thought we covered some good ground. And when you go to the page, you can listen to it directly on his webpage. You just click the little play button. You don't have to, download it to iTunes or fuss around. And then he did a really awesome job below the video or below the audio. If you scroll down the page, of putting up all these links to everything we talked about during the episode. I mean, links to my channel, other channels. I mean, just you can click around and just, so much information and interesting stuff there. So my hats off to James. And definitely please go and click on that and check it out and leave me a comment. What'd you think? I will, like I said, I put it up on my Facebook page. You can leave a comment there. I think you can probably leave a comment on James's page as well. Let him know that you heard about it here and you went over and listened to it. Again, that was really fun. I enjoy doing that. I've done it with Busan Kevin. I've done it with Molly. So I enjoy doing that. Shubus from Panama is here. Cordycept is here. I almost forgot. Hello from Korea from Christopher. Wow, there's a lot of you guys here today. Thanks for coming by. I always say that I'm going to get off a little sooner. I feel like I should really, I owe it to the sumo fans to finish as quickly as I can and go get those videos started. But I'll probably go the full 45, 50 minutes right up to where we get off to give Hiko over to Hiko. What else did I want to talk? So I left a message on my Facebook page that said, big news is coming, stay tuned. Sort of cryptic and vague. And I'm just going to drop a little bit of a hint about that today. And I'm going to talk more about it in October when things are settled. But basically, I got offered a new job. Yay. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to accept. And I will be moving and going to a new area of Japan, which is exciting. working at a different level of education than I've worked at before, which is exciting. And I'm really looking forward to it if it all comes together. And like I said, more about that in October, but I would be moving in March of next year. I still have to do, you know, the fall semester here at my university. And then the new school year will start in April, and I would be starting a new job. So yeah, I just think that it could be good for the channel. New things to film, new people to meet. I'm not going to film anything at school. I'm going to keep that kind of like I did at the job I did here at the university. I rarely film stuff there unless it was with students who are obviously of age to give permission to be on camera. But yeah, I applied to 2 jobs this summer, and I found out about one, and I'm going to find out about the other one on October 1st. So you know, fingers crossed. I'll get both, and then just have to make a tough decision because they're both excellent prospects. But heck, you know, I'm a good person to hire. Let's face it. So no, I had wonderful Skype interviews with both people that, you know, were interviewing for both jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And anyway, I'm not going to say Inglees what area. Again, you know, a smidgen of privacy. I'll say a vague region when it's all settled and done. And there's actually, it's 2 very different areas. One is very urban, and one is somewhat more rural, like where I am now, but better than here, because Shimane is I'm in Shimane. I think most people know that. I kind of vaguely implicate that I don't still live in Shimane, but I do. I still live in Shimane. The university I teach at is in Shimane-ken, and since I'm leaving, I guess there's no harm in telling people that now. But Shimane, since it's on the Sea of Japan side, and there's a huge mountain range between it and Hiroshima, for instance. There's no Shinkansen. I can't even take a train from where I am to Hiroshima. It just doesn't cut through the mountains and like do that. You have to either take a bus or drive. And anyway, so I'm glad. You know, I've been at my current position. I'm just about to, you know, I just finished 5 years. So I'm starting my 6th year at the university, and that's as long as I did JET. So I feel like it's a good time. I spent a while. I've accomplished what I feel like I can accomplish at the university. Unfortunately, without a master's degree, and I've talked about this before, I don't have the opportunity to become a full professor, advance, get a promotion, get a raise, things like that. So things were somewhat stagnant at the university for me, even though I enjoyed all the new students all the time and the regular challenges of being a teacher and etc. But you know, I've done my time, and so I was looking around this summer for something else, and I think I found another good opportunity. So yeah, I'm excited. And again, you know, when I know more and I feel like I'm ready to tell you guys, I'll let you know. All right, sumo. Let's talk a little bit about sumo now before I jump into ET. And I know you guys are like, what is it? You can talk about ET. And of course, if you want to ask a question or you came by specifically to talk to me about something, feel free to leave a comment. I'll do my best to look at it and see what you need. So I thought sumo was pretty wonderful this spot show, just because of all the quirkiness and wackiness that was going on. I was a little disappointed that, you know, Teruno Fuji hurt himself and wasn't 100% on day 14. And when you see his performance today, you know, well, I shouldn't say much. But you know, because you feel like you want him to you know, do his best. And I know he wants to do his best. And if you're injured, you necessarily can't do your best. Danny from Boston is joining us. Hello, Danny. So, but you know, everybody, you know, probably did. A lot of people that I'm fans of did really well this tournament. I love Ikioi, just fantastic. Got a special prize today. Yoshikaze has long been a favorite. He's like 33 years old. He's been wrestling in the Maegashira without going down to. He's gone down to Juryo once in his entire career, and he's been wrestling in the Maegashira since 2006. So like 9 years, he's just been yo-yoing up and down the Bansuke. And finally, he's only ever been promoted to Sanyaku to Komusubi once in that whole time. And so he's finally going to get promoted to Komusubi again after an amazing 11-4 performance, 2 special prizes, 2 Kimboshi today in February, in Fukuoka rather, in November. He'll finally get back up into Sanyaku. Tochinoshin did well. Osuna Arashi got a Kachikoshi. Everybody except my man from Shimane, Okinoumi. All the way up at Komusubi, and he just couldn't get it done. You know, I think did he lose? I think he lost today. Well, I don't remember. I taped the match. It'll be up on my channel later. But yeah, I think he finished with a 6-9, which is not terrible considering the rank, etc. But obviously he's going to get demoted, and he has to go for it again. So I have a lot of hopes for him, but he just doesn't seem to be able to consistently, you know, put it in and move up the way I would hope he could. And obviously my biggest hope, as you guys know if you follow sumo with me, is that my favorite wrestler is Haruma Fuji. And so I hope he's back in fighting spirit and in good shape for November. And I should have good coverage for you in November. I mean, I'll be working, so it won't be quite as comprehensive as this show was. Yeah, I should have daily updates for you and highlights when I need to do that. And, you know, there's some holidays in November, but I think I should be fine. I don't plan on going anywhere in November that I know of. So I won't be going to the Basho, that's for sure. Now with knowing that I'll be moving in March, I really have to save money, etc., and think about what's going to be happening next year. All right. I know I've seen some pictures. I have a bunch of relatives, Englandese, in England. You know, all my mom and dad are English, so every relative, in fact, every cousin, aunt, uncle, everybody's from England. And you know, on Facebook, we some of the younger, you know, cousins and me, and you know, we all stay in touch. And yeah, it's just been gorgeous. And I have a lot of Jet friends that I met that are in England, and I have a Jet friend who married an American Jet, and they moved back to her home country of Wales. And she was very excited. I think it was yesterday, maybe today. I don't know exactly when it happened, Wales time, but the Welsh rugby team won and beat England, and I'm assuming that's a long-standing rivalry. And of course, Japan went crazy about a week ago when the Japanese rugby team in this Rugby World Cup that's going on beat South Africa, a very famous and you know, team that's won the whole cup before in a great match down to the wire, like 34-32 or something, close score. And then everybody was pumped. And then 3 or 4 days later, Japan played Scotland. You know, some guys who know how to play rugby, and they got trounced like 42-17 or something. You know, it was just, I guess it was close in the first half from what I read. It was like, you know, 15-12 or something, and then Scotland just started kicking their asses. Yeah, they play Samoa. I think the Japanese team plays Samoa next, and I gotta think the Samoans are just gonna kick them. But anyway, yeah, you know, I don't know anything about rugby. Go to Hiko's show starting at 11, and I'm sure he'll talk all about rugby. He's from, you know, Australia and New Zealand, and loves rugby and has played it here in Japan and blah blah blah. It's with ice hockey. I think I made this comment on my Facebook page about a week ago. It's one of those major sports, not so much in America. Rugby isn't very big in America, except maybe at college level. But it's just one of those major sports I know zero about. I just know nothing about. I was literally watching some of the Japan match because it was like live at like 10 p.m. here. And it was around the 55-minute mark, and I thought, oh, they've only got 5 minutes to go, and Japan scored, and then, oh no, you know, the South Africans scored, and I thought, oh, okay, here it comes, it's going to be 60 minutes, it's going to be over, and it just kept going. I was like, what the hell? And then I posted on Facebook, and then my friend from Jet, who's now living in New Zealand, he's like, yeah, it's 2 40-minute halves. And I'm like, oh, who plays 2 40-minute halves? You know, and I guess, I mean, when you think about soccer, you know, they play 2 45-minute halves. So anyway, I was just all like ready for it to end at 60 minutes. And yeah, Cordy, I think he's back. You're talking about he went to Thailand or something? I think he's back. Or was that Sam? Maybe there is no Hiko tonight then. Okay. Well, we'll all go over there at 11. I'm still going to get off in time for him in case. But if somebody wants to go check his Twitter feed or something, you can let me know. Mojej, yes, that's true. That's why Japan, you know, we want the Japan team to do well and incite people to find out about rugby and get interested in it, because we're going to be hosting the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup in 2019. It's going to be a good test as kind of a big major event to come to this country a year before the Olympics. So, you know, they hosted the the soccer, the football World Cup in 2002. It was a couple years before I moved here, and but we did that weird thing where we split the duty with Korea, and I don't think that worked too well for a lot of people. But anyway. So anyway, it's going to all be here in 2019, and yes, and we will automatically qualify, etc. So it's good that we at least had that one match where we did really well, and people saw that we're not a joke or, you know, just getting by barely or something. I guess there was a team from Nambia, I want to say, that just got spanked hard by some top-level team in a game yesterday or today or something that I was reading about. So yeah, you never want to go to one of those big things and sort of just get in and then not do well. Where's he go? Okay, so now we're going to set the Wayback Machine here for 1982. And I'm assuming many of you in the audience were perhaps not even born in 1982. You can let me know. Or if you were 2 years old or 5 years old or whatever you were. I was 12, or I was 11, and I turned 12 in 1982. And that was the year the movie E.T. came out. And the only reason I'm talking about it is because while I do sumo, it's a two-step process. I tape the videos on my iPad off the TV, and I finish, and it's 6 o'clock, and then I've got 7 videos on my iPad. And then I use an app called YouTube Capture, and I just click and the video is there, and then I type some stuff in and I hit upload, and then it percolates and, you know, prepares the upload, and then it uploads, you know, through the air and the mist of the Wi-Fi onto YouTube. And yes, this is my Wayback Machine. No, this is my aircon remote. This is my Wayback Machine remote. So while I'm doing that, it's like I kind of got to concentrate, but then it'll be like 5 minutes while it's doing its thing, uploaded, and then I do the next one. And so it's a process, and it takes a little while. And so I like to have something going on, you know, on my TV, which is right in front of me over here, while I'm doing that. And I don't want it can't be something that I really need to pay attention to, like a new movie I've never seen. So I'll often have a soccer match on, or, you know, American football started an American football match if there is one, or a movie. You know, I'll just pop in a movie that I like. So I recently got this really huge DVD, Blu-ray, box set. And you can see some of the famous movies here: To Kill a Mockingbird, The Birds, Breakfast Club, Jaws, Scarface, Back to the Future, E.T., which we're going to talk about, Field of Dreams, Spartacus, Dracula, Animal House, Jurassic Park. And what it is it's one of these type of deals, right? And there's information about each movie. I think I'm going the wrong way to get to E.T. Back to the Future. Come on, where is it? Scarface. There it is. Okay? And it's all by Universal Studios. It's 25 movies, and it was, for some reason, 25 Blu-rays, plus like a bonus disc of extra stuff and a little booklet. And it was $50 on Amazon. It was like their lightning deal of the day. So I already own Breakfast Club and Jaws and Jurassic Park. I own a bunch of these movies already on Blu-ray. But even taking out, I think I own 7 of the 25 already. Even taking that out and taking into account even some of the movies that I would never buy, there's, you know, some movies in there I probably won't even watch. I still felt it was a really good deal. Dogs and Demons, 9/11. You know, people ask me about that all the time. Someday I will get to that. Maybe this winter. You know, it needs, I need to be like, it has to be cold and I want to stay in and do a bit of the research, etc., etc. But I haven't given up. The book is still right there. Can you see it with the red spine? It's right there. And it hasn't left my life, and I haven't forgotten about that. But anyway, yeah, so that was an amazing deal. I couldn't really pass it up. So I bought that, and I've been playing a couple movies out of that are like favorites, that, you know, like Back to the Future and stuff that I know off by heart while I do my sumo. So today I watched E.T. And E.T., you know, whatever you think of it, etc., etc. And I know most of you didn't see it on a big screen in 1982 because you probably weren't born, or you know, you were really young. But it was a phenomenon. It was this huge movie, and I went in as a 12-year-old boy seeing it, and, you know, you're trying to be, you know, not tough, but you're like, you know, I'm a boy, and I mean, I was crying my eyes out at the end, and I just rewatched it as a 46-year-old male who knows what's coming. I know what's coming, and I still teared up, you know, in 2 of the moments of the movie. I mean, the John Williams music is just so perfect, and the performance he gets from these young actors, and some of the, I mean, it's pure cinema at the beginning. It's like 10 minutes of no dialogue at the beginning when E.T. and Keys, you know, the guy you only see as Keys, and there's John Williams music, and he's running around the forest, and it's like all this just amazing camera work and editing and montage and stuff. Anyway, I just think it holds up really well. It's just such a classic movie. So I was thinking about, you know, I was watching some of the making of it, and they were showing the lines around it. It became the highest grossing movie of all time. I mean, Steven Spielberg's done that 3 times in his career. Jaws became the first movie ever to break $100 million at the box office. Now, this, of course, is not taking into consideration inflation. A movie like even The Godfather from '72, or Sound of Music, and of course Gone with the Wind, those probably all would have, you know, if you adjusted the dollars, probably would have all done that too. But Jaws was the first one who ever, you know, in that current currency of the time, broke $100 million at the box office. So he did that. Then Star Wars came along and beat it. Then he put out E.T., and that became the highest grossing movie of all time. I think it made $400 million worldwide, which at the time was just an unheard of amount of money. And then I think that record stood until he broke it himself with Jurassic Park in 1992. And that became the biggest moneymaker of all time. And that record stood for about 5 years until Titanic came along. And then Titanic, and then, of course, now James Cameron broke his own record of Titanic with Avatar. But it was a huge movie, and part of the reason that it was is because you have to remember, in 1982, most people, including my family, did not have a VCR. A few adventurous people had a Beta machine. Beta was, I know my friend Jack, who lived across the street from me on my street in Dallas, Texas, his dad had bought them a Beta machine in about 1981. and he owned like Rocky, and I can't remember. He owned like 3 movies, and we used to watch Rocky all the time. There was only like 50 movies that you could buy at the time, and that was one that he owned. I think he owned The Wizard of Oz, maybe was one. Anyway, and so you didn't own a VCR. There was no computers or whatever. There was no torrenting. Let's just say that you couldn't go home and just download the movie, or not even go to the theater and just say, oh, I'll just watch it on iTunes later or something. And obviously there was no real home video market at that time for the most part, where you could wait 6 months and then see it. So if you wanted to see it, and everybody was talking about this movie, if you'd gone to school, and everybody would be talking about seeing it, even adults, I'm sure, around the water cooler and stuff, everybody was talking about it. So you had to go to a movie theater to see it, and it played and played. I think it came out in June or July in the summer, and it was still playing like at Christmas. Movies stuck around back then, and it was huge. And then of course all the merchandising came out, and it just became a phenomenon. And the amazing thing about it is he's never bowed to pressure, and I'm sure he's gotten it at various times and made a sequel, which I respect. That he's never, because it is a perfect little movie all in and of itself. And then that got me thinking about one of my first part-time jobs. And one of my first part-time jobs when I was in high school was working at a video store. And it was called Captain Video. And it was a local San Diego chain. We had about 35 or 40 stores. And Blockbuster was just starting. And eventually, about a year after I started working at Captain Video, which had been around a while, they got bought by Blockbuster. And we became a Blockbuster. And so I never applied to work at Blockbuster, but I ended up becoming a Blockbuster employee for about a year until I quit. And Captain Video, unlike Blockbuster, had porn. So, we were a normal sort of like, not mom and pop chain, but I mean, we had those types of videos. We had, I think at the time we had Beta and VHS, and they sat side by side. We didn't have any laser discs. So when I was working there, I was a senior in about 1986, 87-ish, and I think that's when I started. And E.T. did not come out on home video for the longest time. People kept wanting it, and Spielberg kept holding it back. He said, nope, I'm not releasing it on VHS tape. I think they re-released it at the theater on its like 5-year anniversary or something. And then finally, like a year after that, he relented, and he finally said, okay, we're gonna put it out on videotape. Now here's something you guys probably don't remember, is that we didn't have a notebook, James. I know what you're talking about. Like people could look through and look at the covers and then say, I want that one or something. We actually had like the fabled curtained off area, no children allowed beyond this point type of area. And you could go back there and, we had probably 100 titles, and you could look at the boxes and stuff. And we had a tag system. We had green tags for Beta and red tags for VHS. And we literally, as employees, had to handwrite the titles on these tags. And we would, the person would bring the tag up and the box would stay on the thing. And then all the movies were behind us because, we didn't want the movies out where the customers could just walk out of the store with them. This was before the Blockbuster system where all the movies were in the thing and they had, the detectors by the doors. Yeah, so they could go and get their tag and be somewhat discreet about it. And we used to giggle a lot, because I think, yeah, I worked there before I was 18, so I don't know that I was legally allowed to watch porn, even though I rented them. It's kind of weird. Anyway, so the thing that you guys probably don't know because you're younger, most of you, is that back in the day, in the mid-'80s and stuff, movies, brand new VHS tapes were incredibly expensive. There was not this, what we in the industry call sell-through mentality. Movies came out and they were literally $80, $90, or $100 for a brand new VHS tape. And this was a system that was rigged up by the studios and the rental companies so that you wouldn't buy the movie, you would rent it. And literally, we would have people come in, like a movie like Ghost. I remember Ghost, Hunt for Red October, Dirty Dancing. All these movies were like $100 when they were brand new. And you'd always have that one person that was like, oh, I have to own it. And they would pay $100 for a videotape. But most people would hear that and just laugh at you and go, really? Are you serious? That's how much they cost? And then they would just wait. Because 6 months, 9 months, or a year later, they would come out again at what they call sell-through, and they would be, you know, packaged up and sold at Christmas time and stuff. But when they initially came out for rental, they were very expensive. And so we, as a wholesale, you know, price, probably paid $60 for a tape. So that's why, I mean, you know, back in the day, if you lost a tape, I mean, you know, we would charge you like 50 bucks because it cost us. So, I mean, we needed to rent that tape at $3 a rental, you know, whatever that is, 20 times, right, to make our money back. So it was a different system back then. And people were always a bit shocked. So the difference with E.T. is it was one of the very first movies when it finally did come out, because boy, did I work there that day. It came out right around Christmas, which is a huge video rental time, or it was back then. New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day was always one of our busiest days of the year. And it came out at $24.95. You know, it was $25. So most places were selling it for $20, some even cheaper than that. And so we, as a retailer, or yeah, as you know, somebody that got a cut on it, we probably paid like $11 or $12 for every copy of E.T. And at that time, my company said, okay, we're all in. We want every customer that comes in looking for E.T. to be able to walk out with one. And we bought 400 copies. 400 copies of E.T. because in the executive mind, it only had to rent like 3 or 4 times and we'd made back our money. And then we'd sell it used. And the whole selling it used thing was not even a big thing then, because the studios used to actually buy back the old cassettes, like say 6 months after, say you bought 10 copies of View to a Kill, the new James Bond movie, and then after 5 months you were only really renting 2 or 3, you could give back 5 copies of it and get a credit. And they did that because they didn't want you to flood the market with all these used copies, because they were going to release View to a Kill for Father's Day, you know, buy the new James Bond movie for $19.95. So it was a whole different market back then. And E.T. was one of the first one that came out at a sell-through price. A few of the other movies that did that were Disney movies. But you got to remember, the Disney Renaissance didn't really start until Little Mermaid in 1989. So this was about a year before that. And so we bought 400 copies, and so we had we would have weekends where we rented out 1,000 tapes, but 400 copies of a movie that everybody had seen, just given 5 years ago, it was way too many. I think one weekend, one time only, did we literally rent every copy, and after that we never had a time where we didn't have enough copies. And it was just ridiculous. And then we had like 200 to sell brand new at $19.95 or whatever we were selling them at, because it was right around Christmas. And I just remember writing E.T. on all these red tags, just endlessly, and I think we got like 5 copies of it on beta. That was the discrepancy at that point, like how many beta customers we had. It was pretty ridiculous. But yeah, it was just such a weird thing. And I mean, I'll always remember that day, slicing open those boxes, and the movie was green, and it also had a weird thing in the case where, like, once you watched it, was that the thing? Once you watched it, you couldn't rewind it or something? He had put something in there, like in the rental copies versus the thing, like, no, maybe I'm thinking of something else. But there was something weird, and they were green. I just remember that. The case was black, but the flap and stuff was green, and oh my God, we just had just endless rows of it up on our shelving. where we had our new releases, and it was just ridiculous. So, but a wonderful movie. You guys should totally watch E.T. again if you haven't seen it in a few years. If you've never seen it, let me know in the comments. I would love to know if any of you out there have never seen E.T. Some other things I picked up recently, I'll just show you. One of my all-time favorite movies, Tootsie, and this is a Criterion edition. If you're not familiar with the Criterion collection, I came to know them through Laserdisc, but they make some superb versions of movies with all kinds of extras. This is all the extras listed here. And Tootsie, if you've never seen Tootsie, you owe it to yourself. It's an amazing film. This was a movie that was recommended to me. It's a Japanese movie called Harakiri. And I think this is the first time it's been on Blu-ray. It was directed by Masaki Kobayashi. And when did it come out? 1962. I've never seen it. And it's very rare for me to buy a movie that I've never seen. But so many people were talking about this and comparing it and even saying it's better than certain Kurosawa films. And I'm a huge Kurosawa fan. And so the story is very interesting. And, you know, I love watching things in Japanese where I can also have English subtitles. It helps me, you know, learn Japanese, etc. So if you've seen it, let me know. Obviously don't spoil it. But I'm very interested to watch this. I haven't cracked it open yet. It's still in its shiny package. And then undoubtedly my favorite movie of 2015, the summer, is Mad Max Fury Road. So I went ahead and picked this up. Now I know they're going to come out with an anthology of all 4 movies, and I actually don't own the other 3 movies on Blu-ray. I've owned Road Warrior and Mad Max on DVD, etc. in the past, but I'd like to rewatch them all. So I will probably pick up that anthology, depending on what version of Mad Max it has. You know, there's one where it's Australian, it's the original, it's Mel Gibson's real Australian accent voice. And then there's another where it's kind of like Americanized, and some of the actors are dubbed, and some of the colloquialisms, like if it's a rubbish bin or something, they call it a trash can. You know, they change some things, I think. And so I'm more interested in getting the original. And then I've heard that there's a black and white version of this movie that George Miller, who made the movie, originally wanted to film it in black and white, and they wouldn't let him. And but there is a version like that that exists, and he wants to put it on the Blu-ray. It's not on here. This is the standard Blu-ray that came out right when the movie came out on home video. But I just love this movie. Want to rewatch it. Want to rewatch all the extras. I love extras. So this is, unfortunately for me, is a Blu-ray, DVD, and I have no use for the DVD. The Blu-ray is compatible with Japan. I can watch it here. The DVD is not. So I can't even really give it away. Sometimes if I buy a movie in Japan and it has an extra, I'll give the DVD to a student or something. And then digital HD, I don't want to watch movies on my frickin' phone, you know. This is not the appropriate place to watch Mad Max, you know. It's not big enough. The sound is not good enough. I am a snob when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I'm like, you have to watch movies on a big screen with good sound, and I don't even want to watch it here on my computer, you know, which is what, 13 inches? It annoys me that so many people now are absorbing cinema that way, but I can't do anything about the way you watch movies. But obviously me, I don't want to watch them that way, so I don't have any use for the digital HD thing either. But there you go. They send it out anyway. Everybody loves extras. Yeah, I mean, but like, I mean, you say that, Shubas, but I know, like, my sister, who's a little older than me, I'm 46, she's like 51, she likes movies, and I mean, she collects some movies and stuff. She mostly watches, though, like, pay-per-view, like, she'll just pay the $5 and put it on her TV and stuff. She's not very technologically, you know, forward or anything, and you know, she's obviously a little generation beyond some of the technological things that you guys now take for granted, and she would have no interest ever in watching a director's commentary, maybe deleted scenes or bloopers, But even then, I doubt she would ever even, you know, click the menu to do it. She'd watch the movie, and when the movie's over, she's done. And, you know, so, yeah. I don't know that everybody loves extras. I really like extras. I mean, that will sway my decision on whether to buy a film or not, depending on what kind of extras you get. So Phil Music is asking, how is Mad Max 4 compared to the first one? I'm not gonna say it's the best of all four, because it's obviously removed from the first trilogy, and that it's a new actor and it's so many years after, etc. But I would compare it very favorably with Road Warrior. If you like the second Mad Max movie, Road Warrior, you're gonna love this one. And I just sat in the movie theater and was like amazed at what they get away with. I don't know if a lot of it was practical physical effects, if it was CGI, if it was a combination, but the action sequences are amazing. And it's just wall-to-wall action. There's, you know, it's not a sophisticated plot. I'm not going to say it's some kind of revelatory, you know, dialogue or anything, but it's very well put together, and it just grabs you and doesn't let you go for the whole movie, and I thought it was awesome. Mad Max 1, of course, has got a lot more. Mad Max 1 is like First Blood. You know, First Blood, you know, John Rambo, you know, there's some subtlety and some nuance, and the reason why he's acting the way he is, and, you know, he's still in America and things are going wrong and blah, blah. And then you get Rambo, you know, and then he's this kind of cartoon action figure. And the same thing with Mad Max versus Road Warrior. You know, they're very different films. I grew up on Road Warrior. I love Road Warrior. It's one of my all-time favorite action movies, and so I was so excited to see this, and I'm so glad it was good, because some other movies this summer were kind of letdowns. So you know, if you haven't seen it, please don't watch it on your phone or something, or your iPad. You know, rent it and watch it on your television that's hopefully big enough. Or, you know, go over to a friend's house and bring it over and watch it and eat pizza together and, you know, get Chrome together. Yeah, I think, Alin, the manual, I think they did use a lot of practical effects. I think a lot of the driving stunts, etc., were, you know, real-life harrowing stuff, as much as they can get away with. But, yeah, it blew me away, and I wanted to see it again in the theaters, and I just didn't get around to it. And what else did I like this summer? I like Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World. I thought that was fun. What was I disappointed in? Well, I've heard so many terrible things about Fantastic Four, and it's about to open on October 9th in Japan, but I probably won't even go see it now. Ant-Man just opened, so I will go see that hopefully in the next couple weeks. I heard good things about that, although it's much lower key. Avengers, the second Avengers, I enjoyed. I wasn't blown away. What else came out at the kind of beginning of the summer? I know I'm forgetting something, but anyway. Oh, Terminator. Terminator was the movie that disappointed me. The Genesis Terminator. I was really hoping they would kind of do something interesting and reboot it in an interesting way. And, you know, they got Arnold back and blah blah blah, and it just wasn't good. You know. So, yeah, that was disappointing. Okay, anything else you guys want to talk about? Leave me a comment. I'll be on for about another 5 or 10 minutes, and yeah, Phil, you should totally see it, man. It's definitely worth checking out. What else should I tell you about what's coming up this week? So I go back to school this week. My university, like many universities in Japan, start again on October 1st. But my schedule this semester, I teach 5 classes, and 2 of them are like, you know, Monday, Wednesday class. So it's the same group of kids twice in a week. So that's 4. You know, that's sophomores twice and freshmen twice. And then I teach kind of remedial English once a week for 90 minutes. And they put that class, which could be on any day of the week, also on Wednesday. So I teach twice on Monday, nothing on Tuesday, 3 times on Wednesday, and then nothing on Thursday and Friday. So the school starts on Thursday and then Friday, and I have, I really have nothing to do those first 2 days, and I'll be in the tutor center, which is where I spend my time when I'm not teaching, but nobody will come in because nobody has homework yet, or, I mean, 1 or 2 kids might come in that like coming in and seeing me and speaking English and talk to me about their summer or something, but I'll be kind of lonely and bored. But, I mean, I've got lesson planning to do and things to do and stuff. But, yeah, I don't even know that. I mean, normally I would have to go to work like, starting Monday and really get ready. But this whole week I won't have class until, the next week. Venno, it is. It's almost too much time off. I mean, for me, and this, of course, is one of the reasons at the top of the program I was talking about the fact that, I'm getting a new job. It's time off without pay. And so in the past, I've gone home to America, and I've literally then gone and gotten a job while I was in America just for like the 4 weeks of the 5 weeks I was there. I would go back to the job I did at my medical company. Tandem Diabetes were always nice enough to put me back to work because of the nature of the work I was doing, testing things, etc. They usually could use me almost like a summer intern, but they would pay me pretty well, and I knew the people, and it was convenient to get there from my house. And but this summer I didn't go home. I didn't have an Eikaiwa gig lined up, and I didn't have anything to do at the university. So I've literally had 8 weeks of just kind of being in this room, and it's been a little crazy, and it's been such shitty weather outside. It's just been rainy and rainy and rainy and rainy. It was definitely not something I want to repeat, and hopefully I won't have to. My new job, I will, I'll get paid every month like a normal person, and I'll be expected to do things obviously for that pay, so I won't have as much time off, and then that's a drawback for some people, but I don't think it'll be bad for me. Yeah, I mean, paid time off is nice. You get that in the JET program, and I think I'm going to get that in the new job. Kron, are we talking about best Kurosawa? Speaking of old movies, though, I just rewatched My Bodyguard. Oh, that is a good movie, yeah. Throne of Blood, best Kurosawa, Sean? Not for me. I like Throne of Blood. It's a good film. For me, it's got to be between, there's 3. My top 3 Kurosawa are Yojimbo, Rashomon, and Seven Samurai. Toshiro Mifune is just the shit. He is the man. And I just think he's one of the best actors of all time. And those movies are all much more rugged and action-oriented than perhaps some of the others. Some people really like High and Low or Ikiru to Live, and some of the other more meditative Kurosawa, but those are my 3 favorites. And I haven't seen Throne of Blood in a long time. They're just about to show Redbeard on TV, but of course it'll all be in Japanese with no subtitles. So I'll have to rent it. But yeah, there's definitely some Kurosawa I need to see again. I probably only have seen once, like 20 years ago. But yeah, I just his movies are amazing, and so I'm really hoping this other movie that people talked me into is really good, and I'm looking forward to watching it. Yeah, I mean Yojimbo and Seven Samurai, of course, begat the Man with No Name trilogy from Clint Eastwood. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, For a Few Dollars More, Fistful of Dollars. Fistful of Dollars is basically Yojimbo. And Seven Samurai begat the Magnificent Seven. So, or the other way around? Was it the other way around? No, I think it was. No, now I forget. Somebody tell me. Somebody leave a comment if you're watching this after we do the live show and I just messed that up. Do correct me, but I think it was that way. But anyway, yeah, Rashomon is amazing. I mean, it's very old, and unless you get a good print of it, it's scratchy, kind of black and white, and blah blah blah. But the story, if you don't know what happens, especially, and try not to find out if you don't know, it really does blow your mind a bit the first time you see it. And it's now almost a cliche. Like you'll watch it and go, "Oh, well, I've seen this movie, and this movie have done that," but they're all, of course, copying Rashomon. which came out in 1952. And so, you know, it's hard sometimes for a movie that's that innovative and interesting because it was the first one to do it, and then so many people have copied it, that, you know, it doesn't seem as fresh or interesting anymore. But, you know, at the time, and even when I first saw it, it was just amazing. Okay, Seven Samurai came first, yeah. And they're remaking The Magnificent Seven, which is a great movie. If you've never seen that Western, Steve McQueen, Yul Brynner, that's a great Western and has one of the best musical scores of all time by Elmer Bernstein. And they're remaking it. They're also remaking one of my favorite Michael Crichton things called Westworld, but I think that's going to be an HBO series or a Netflix series. And if you've never seen Westworld, the movie Westworld, again with Yul Brynner, but based on a Michael Crichton idea or novel, and it's a future world where like you can go and, you know, be like you're in the old West and fight robots, but then the robots start to, like, you know, come to life. And it's great concept, great movie. You know, early sci-fi from like I think it was made before Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, Hidden Fortress is the obvious inspiration for the R2-D2 and C-3PO characters, and Lucas has admitted that. He is a huge, him and Spielberg are both huge Kurosawa fans, and helped him get some of his movies made. I think they financed Kagemusha, which he made in about 1980. George, you know, dipped into his money from Star Wars and gave it to Akira to help make that movie. Yeah. What else? What new TV are you watching? If you've got a really good brand new show that you think I should check out, let me know. I've got Netflix now, but then they don't have anything brand new. I'm not paying for stuff as much. Like, I don't want to pay $50 to see Gotham, you know, and $35 to see Modern Family and stuff. So, yeah, I'm not watching. But what did I watch? Oh, Fresh Off the Boat. I think that's a funny show. I watched the first one of that. I think it was free on iTunes. Season 2 of that was funny. I watched this thing called Blind Spot, which is on one of the major networks in America, and it's such like a Blacklist ripoff. I was cringing. It was well done, and the actors were fine, but the concept is just such a ripoff of that show. The new Marvel show starts on Netflix in November, Jessica Jones, and she was part of a comic that I used to read by Brian Bendis called Alias, no correlation to the TV show Alias. And so I'm really interested to see how they handle that character, and I hope we get it here in Japan, and they don't delay it. What else? I'm watching football. I'm about to watch the Chargers. I think the Chargers come on at 10 a.m. Sunday, so it'll be like 2 a.m., but I'm going to stay up because, again, Monday is not a work day for me yet, and watch the Charger game. You know, disappointing last week. They didn't win against the Bengals. Wow, you were at the world premiere of Kagemusha? Shuvas? That's amazing. Have you ever seen Eddie Huang's Fresh Off the Boat series that he did with Vice? Check it out if you can. Okay. So this was something he did, Ryan, before they made the TV show, like as a test of like how it would work, or a short film or something. Yeah, I'll look around for that. Okay, well, I think that's going to do it for me this week. Yeah, I heard about Scream Queens, Temiko. I heard it was really fun. Saw some interview with one of the actresses, and it sounded like a lot of fun. But, you know, none of that comes out over here, so I kind of have to pick and choose and, you know, put the pirate patch on sometimes and torrent a thing or two. Okay, but anyway, thank you so much for watching. You can now enjoy your Bitta. And if you're a sumo fan and you entered one of the contests to give away some sumo swag, I will probably be putting that video up on Tuesday. And I'll put a message on my Twitter and on my Facebook that it's up. So, you know, go watch that and see if you won something, if you entered those contests. And yeah, James, you know, I thought that was what was going to happen to the Japan team against South Africa. I thought it was going to be like embarrassing, and they obviously played really well. And I don't know exactly what happened to them against Scotland, but now they have to play. Now they have to play Samoa, and I think they're going to get their heads handed to them again. But anyway, so I'm going to go now. If you're a sumo fan, give me about an hour, and the videos will start coming up. Go on my Twitter feed, and you'll see the links start popping up. And thanks for swinging by and hanging out with me on Sunday. Hiko might not be there, but it's almost 11 o'clock, so head over there and see if he is there. And if not, we'll see you again probably next week or the week after. Okay, peace. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming in. See ya.